Welcome back to Zero to Game Dev Hero. You want to see some floating objects, and all of that done with a few lines of code written by you? Then let's go. Last time we have created our first C# script, aka component, in Unity. It's empty at the moment, but let's give it some functionality. We have learned that we can move things with the transform component of an object. So if it somehow would be possible to change those values by code, we could move our object. And you know what? Of course that's possible, and we're going to do that now. First, we can delete those two statements because we don't need them anymore. To change the position values in the code, we somehow need to access those values. We can access the transform component by simply writing transform. Because every object has a transform, there is this shortcut in every C# class that is a child of mono behavior. This component has different values, but we want to access the position. To access the position, we simply write dot position. Wasn't that hard, huh? We have learned that if we have an integer value, we can simply add or subtract from it. Here we have the problem that our position is not a single integer value, but a vector tree. So if we want to add something to our position, we need to add a vector tree value. A vector tree is a type that contains 3 float numbers. The float numbers represent the x, y, and z axes. It's mainly used to store positions and directions in Unity. There are other vector types as well, like vector2. It's good if you are working on a 2D game. Let's add a vector tree to our position. We can write plus equals and then new vector tree. And here we can write how much we want to add to the different axes. We want the object to move up, so we need to add something to the y-axis. We can write 0f, 2f, and 0f. We need to put the f at the end because those numbers are float numbers. Let's press save and test it out in the editor. We go to game view. When you press start now, the code in our start method is called one time in the beginning of the game. You can see that the cube moved up a little bit. The problem is that the cube moves instantly. It teleports, but we want to move the object constantly and not only one time. And there we can use the update method. We can copy the code into the update method from here. Now this code will be executed every frame, but moving our cube up by 2 every frame would be way too much. The cube would be gone in a few of milliseconds. We should reduce the value to something like 0.01. Another thing we can do here is to expose this value to the inspector in Unity so that we can change it in the inspector and do not need to change it inside of our code. To do this, we can create a float variable at the top of our class and call it speed, for example. Float speed. If we want to expose it to the inspector in Unity, we need to write serialize field in front of it. This code snippet will tell the code to show the variable to the inspector. You can write that before almost any variable that you want to see in Unity. Now you need to multiply your vector tree by this value like this. and don't forget to save. And back in Unity, we can now see the speed variable here on our player cube. We can give it a value, and this value will control the speed of our cube. Let's give it the value 1. Now we can press play, and there you can see. Oh, it's pretty fast. So let's change the value to something like 0.1. The cube is moving. If you change the speed now, it will move faster or slower. Or even go back if you change it to a negative speed. Cool, huh? An important thing, when you change values in your component while you are in play mode, they will not be saved. When you quit play mode again, those values will be resetted. So our speed value is 0.5, and if you click on stop, it's 0.1 again. So we have created our first component. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And you know what? You can use this component on different objects as well, and give each of them a different value. Just drag and drop it from your project folder onto one of your objects you want to be moved. For example, the sphere. And here you can see, now the sphere has this component as well. Let's give it a value of 0.05. Or you can add it with the Add Component button here, and now you can see that the search finds our My First Component component. When we click it, we add it to the object. We can give it a value of 0.14 or 3, for example. And here we go. All of our components are floating now. In the next video, we're going to implement user input so that you can control the movement of the cube. If you like my content, it would support me a lot if you would subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or feedback, leave a comment. Thank you for watching. See you.